Clinton Correctional Facility in Dannemora, New York, was considered an impenetrable fortress. Its towering stone walls, armed guard towers, and remote location in upstate New York gave it a reputation as a ski-proof. Few believed anyone could ever break out. As one correctional officer put it, "You don't tunnel out of Dannemora unless you have a jackhammer." 2 inmates dared to attempt the impossible: Richard Matt and David Sweat. Richard Matt was a career criminal and convicted murderer, serving a 25 years to life sentence. In 1997, Matt kidnapped his former employer, 76-year-old William Rickerson, and held him captive for more than a day, attempting to extort money. When the scheme failed, Matt killed him and disposed of the body in the Niagara River. For 7 years, Matt had been confined within the walls of Clinton Correctional Facility, and he was desperate to escape. To do that, he needed help. The one person he believed he could trust was David Sweat, his quiet and methodical neighbor in the cell block. David Sweat was serving a life sentence for the murder of a deputy sheriff. He had spent much of his adult life in and out of prison, picking up practical skills along the way, including woodworking and electrical work through prison industry programs. Unlike Matt, Sweat was disciplined and technically minded. Together, the 2 men began studying the prison for weaknesses. Their initial plan was bold: remove their cell doors, slip into the industrial yard at night, and scale the massive perimeter wall. But the first step required a specialized security screwdriver bit, known as a Torx bit, something inmates had no access to. The key to their plan was Joyce Mitchell, a civilian supervisor in the prison's tailor shop, where both men worked. Particularly David Sweat. Observers noticed extended private interactions between her and Sweat in back rooms of the workshop. When suspicions grew, Sweat was reassigned, creating an opening for Richard Matt to step in. Matt began manipulating Mitchell, gradually building trust and exploiting her emotional vulnerabilities. Eventually, she provided them with the Torx bit they needed. Back in his cell, Sweat attempted to dismantle the door lock, but the mechanism proved too difficult to defeat. The plan had to change. Sweat noticed a metal vent behind his bed that led to a network of catwalks and utility pipes. If he could cut through the wall around the vent, Mitchell was persuaded to smuggle in hacksaw blades she had purchased at a local store. The blades were split between the 2 inmates, and for 3 weeks they worked patiently, cutting through steel and brick a few inches at a time. After Sweat successfully cut through the back of his cell, at one point they encountered a large steam pipe that had previously been too hot to approach. With the arrival of summer, the heating system had been shut off, and the pipe was cold. This presented a new opportunity. If they could cut into the steam pipe and crawl through it, they believed it would lead beyond the prison's perimeter wall. Night after night, Sweat cut approximately 10 inches at a time, carefully avoiding detection. Eventually, Sweat completed the opening and crawled into the pipe, cutting an exit hole on the far side. For the first time since his incarceration in 2003, he found himself outside the prison's walls. He located a manhole cover, climbed a ladder. The plan was set for June 6, 2015. Joyce Mitchell was supposed to meet them at midnight with her SUV and drive them to freedom. That night, both men retraced their path through the cells, pipes, and steam tunnel. They emerged outside the prison grounds, but Mitchell never arrived. With no getaway vehicle and no backup plan, Matt and Sweat fled on foot into the surrounding woods. They had gained a 5-hour head start. The escape triggered a massive manhunt across upstate New York. Residents were warned that 2 dangerous murderers were at large. Matt and Sweat survived, by hiding in wooded areas and breaking into hunting cabins for food and supplies. At some point during the ordeal, the two men separated. On June 26, authorities located Richard Matt near a hunting cabin. When confronted, Matt raised a firearm. Officers responded with gunfire, killing him. It was later discovered that the gun was not loaded. Some believed Matt knew he would not return to prison and deliberately forced a fatal confrontation. 2 days later, on June 28, David Sweat was spotted near the Canadian border. When ordered to stop, he continued running. A state trooper fired, striking Sweat in the torso. Despite being wounded, Sweat attempted to flee before being subdued. Officers provided first aid, ultimately saving his life and ending the manhunt. The escape from Dannemora stunned the nation. Through careful planning, manipulation, and weeks of meticulous labor, Richard Matt and David Sweat accomplished what few believed possible. They breached the walls of one of America's most secure prisons. Yet their success depended on a fragile chain of events. When Joyce Mitchell failed to meet them on the night of their escape, their fate was effectively sealed. Mitchell later pleaded guilty to promoting prison, contraband, and criminal facilitation. She was fined and sentenced to more than 4 years in prison. Richard Matt's determination not to die behind bars cost him his life. David Sweat survived, but continues to serve his life sentence, now transferred periodically between facilities due to ongoing security concerns. The escape from Dannemora remains a cautionary tale of how even the strongest fortress can be compromised not by force, but by human weakness.